This was very unscheduled, people. Okay. I realize it's early in the morning. I was moved to put this up right now. If it is what I'm told it is, you won't mind waking up for this, but I hope it doesn't get nobody up. I hope just, if anything, that if anybody's up late, you know, like me, rolling, stopping, and rolling again, well, that this gives you some solace in your day. All right. Now, in another live, I was talking about how basically I was moved to see and understand that there's more than one Putin. I was moved, like I feel so stupid because I'm just shown this stuff. I'm like, I have to look it up on the internet to see if it's true. This, I can't look in and see if it's true because it hadn't been put in the news yet. So at 2:30, around 2:30 this morning, I keep getting the number 227, 228 though. But around 227, 228, either way. Okay? Let's just say 226. That was the number. At 226 this morning, I was given the vision and the knowing that Putin is gone, like that he's been taken out, and that it was by his two top generals. Now, this brought up all kinds of questions out of my mind. I'm like, you've got to be, wait a second. I mean, I know I saw his last day. I didn't think it was going to be this soon, but it did happen in that way. And then I'm like trying to figure it out. So, all right. So I started asking questions. And at this point, I'm gonna relax. I'm gonna kick back here. I'm gonna talk about this. Okay. At that point in time, I started asking the questions, and I said, okay, hold on just a minute. And I had a connection to the other side of the veil, to the angels, and able to ask them questions. Okay? So this is what I asked. I said, okay, you're saying Putin's gone. Okay, this is a big one. I know this is going to make the news if they don't have another clone going on. But this is what I asked. I said, so then this would be not the first Putin that's already been taken out, I guess, and they replaced that one with a clone. And I was immediately told, instantly I get these answers, instantly before I can even finish, oh no, this was the third Putin. I'm like, what? So, okay, so evidently there was one Putin, which is the one that was the actual kid that you saw that met one of our presidents, I believe it was, and was in a little picture, a photo. Oh man, my battery's gonna die at this point. I gotta plug this thing up. Or we'll be having a outage of the truck and stuff channel here. So give me a second, let me do this. I've got to stop. I've got to find my charger now because this thing's gonna die. And then I could put it on the battery backup for a sec. Let's do that. Grab the charger. That's at 13%. Okay, I had an issue where one of my fuses blew, and I had to unplug everything just to have my CB radio. So now I'm plugging this back up. I got to get a fuse for that splitter. I've got a splitter with a bad fuse. Okay, so back to this story here. All right, it says slow charging. That's no good. Well, let's put it back on this other thing then and see if it's faster charging. Might be faster charging off of my little battery bank. Yeah, it's happy. Okay, so, all right. So I asked the question, I was like, oh, okay, so you are talking about that they took out the second Putin. And instantly, before I could even get out the second Putin, the thought was instantly, my answer was, oh no, this is the third Putin. Okay. So this is what I was explained. This is what was explained to me. The first Putin was the kid that we saw in an old news reel that showed him. I think maybe he met Kennedy, or there was some president that he was somebody important from the U.S. I think it might be Kennedy that he was in front of. They were grooming him from that time. All of these are all trained in the same way through the KGB and everything else. They just happen to be almost lookalikes. Now, so it was explained to me that the second Putin was defective. So the first Putin was taken out by, I'm just going to say this, European forces. Okay. The second Putin, I'm calling him Klonovich, the first clone. That one was defective. That's a Russian term. That's their saying of it was. They said he was defective. In other words, somehow he did not meet the criteria. I don't know that they killed that one. They may have just set him aside and said, "Hey, listen, you just go on over there. You're not going to be a good replacement. You don't even look like him, act like him, and maybe the guy was like mentally challenged in a way, is what I'm getting, like not even able to fill the role." Okay. Now this is the third, so I'm calling this the second clone, but the third Putin. This is Klonovich the third, or the second. I'll say the second, yeah, because he's the second clone. Either way. Okay. The situation is this. He was getting a little bit, they are using the term, not me, uppity. Like out of sorts, out of station, out of pocket. It was okay when he was playing the role. And they all play a role. They're all like actors. It was okay when he had certain powers and certain things. Now we have a problem though. Because people are dying because of a decision he made, but then also not just troops, because the higher ups in the Kremlin could handle that. No. Now he's doing things that are leading to the deaths of his own generals. Let me explain. Recently, 2 generals were killed in combat in Ukraine. This is the problem. The problem is, it is not their place ordinarily to be on the battlefield. They should be figuring out logistics. They should have security detail. They should have the protection of the company they're in, and they should not be leading the charge with a sword out front or standing on the front of the boat like Washington did with his foot up on it in the picture. It's not like that. This is not the days of Napoleon Bonaparte. That one. Okay. So why were they on the front lines? I was made to understand and shown that Klonovich, the third Putin but the second clone, sent them there and gave them orders that you will go down there and you will lead the charge. You will see what's going on. You will not let there be dissent among the ranks and people, defecting and surrendering. That he wanted that objective, and he sent those guys in there, and they knew they were going to be killed. And he knew they were going to be killed. And his other generals think that he may be trying to wipe out all of the generals so that he's actually in charge. Now, here's the problem with my knowing. the gift or whatever, the connection, the info, the intel. I have seen it where before 9/11 happened, it was 2 years early. I didn't see what was happening. I just saw the number. I didn't understand it. It was just to teach me that it's a thing. So there was no intel with it, just a number everywhere. Okay, but that was 2 years early. A lot of the things that I'm told, like one, I was told it was going to be happening the next day. The craziness with the shooting. I showed it. It's going to make the news. The other was, okay, short. And I get different information. This one, either it already happened, and that's why we're seeing the back of Putin's head in videos, where he's at a 50-mile-long table that you couldn't even play ice hockey on. Or, I'm sorry, table hockey. Or it is to happen in the future, but I even asked that question. I'm told, no, it happened at 2:26 this morning. So none of the news services, there's no way to check this. There's no way to understand it. I can look anywhere I want to and I'm not going to find it. I can even tell you right now, I can forget about it. They may not let the information out of the Kremlin for 3 or 4 days or a week. They may put another clone up there. If so, you'll see the difference in that clone and the last clone, and you'll know for sure that, okay, wait, that is not the same Putin. But my understanding is this. My understanding is they're done with all that. That they're going to admit to it. The 2 generals that did it are going to admit to it. Yeah, I hear you, Icon. And, well, not Putin. Putin is checked out. Putin's left the building. Putin's like Elvis. He's out. So I'm going to say this, too. It was by the fire of God that this happened. Yes, 2 generals did it, but it was by the fire of God. So, my understanding is that they're done with it. Now, here's the question. Who is next in line? Is it the generals? Will they appoint someone? Have they groomed someone? Would they let Alexei, whatever his name is, whatever that they've got in prison that was supposed to be the opposition party, but they poisoning, I think it's Alexei Navalny, I think it's his name, and he's in prison. He was on a hunger strike for a little bit and then he was out. Is it that guy? Okay, and this guy's gonna be famous. He's pulling his hood and cleans the windows and windshield and headlights. Anyway, all right, is it that guy that would be next in line? And is it going to be a person of peace, or is it going to be a person of war? So is the next person that's going to take over Russia going to continue this war, or does it end? Do the generals have the ability to stop it, seeing that not just their fellow countrymen, which a lot of them are just supposed to be acceptable losses, but their other generals have died and are dying because they're being sent to the front line, pushed forward, and was Putin trying to take them out? It's the oldest story in the Bible, people. One of them, where a king who wanted to be with a woman, but that woman was married to one of his privates, one of his foot soldiers, and she was very beautiful, and he says he sent that guy to his death. He told his general, he said, put him up in the front, and in the heat of battle, and this city, because we know it's rough there, it's the hottest point, and when the enemy comes close, I want you to withdraw on purpose and leave him to fight for himself, that the enemy will devour and kill him, so that that king could be with his wife. So you think of this, and then afterwards he even said, because they had already been together, and they were, it's my understanding, they were going to have a baby, and the king was going to have a baby with her, and that what happened was, he says, make sure that you're with him tonight. No, he said, no, my soldiers are down there in battle. I will sleep outside just like they are tonight. I won't be with my woman until such time as we've done with the fighting, and when we can all come home. So that's why he sent him into battle to kill him. He was a virtuous man. It is what it is. So you think about it. Did Putin send them to their death? And did the other generals know about it? And is that why they took him out? Or is it just because millions are dying and this sort of thing? Surely they know if I have a knowing and I'm told. So we go further. Okay. This will make the news. And it was by a pillar of fire, by God's will, that this happened. And this is not from me. This is not my intel. This is just given to me. So I take no glory for any of it. I'm not even a messenger. I'm like I work in the post office, but I'm more like the post general, or better than that, I'm just a telegraph officer. I'm just hitting the button. So, okay. Let's go further. What happens when Putin's knocked out of power? Can they even get the information fast enough to the front lines to say, hey, stop the fighting? Can they stop the Ukrainian side from killing the Russians that are there? Will Ukraine be able to be given back Crimea? Or will that still be an objective of the Russian state and say, no, we still need that? Probably. They'll probably still want it because they want to think they earned it. But in the end, like, okay, and I know how many days will they have for Putin's funeral? Will it be, okay, Stalin, they put him in a glass case so everybody could walk by and just see him all the time. You can just go up there and look at him. You know, he's right there. Will it be like that? Or will they take him down to Ukraine and put him in one of the ditches with all the other people that have just been bombed? They know that they're bombing civilians. The top generals don't like this situation. That's their people even. They're Slavs. They're intermarried. A lot of those people are, you know, their cousins. So it's a big issue. To know what happens next, I don't know. I was told it was 226. Before that, I was thinking, is it 228, 227? What time was it? Somewhere around 2:30? Nope, 226. So, it happened just like I saw. They said Putin, you know, his name, and then that was it. So, will they put out another clone? Will he have a long face like the original one? Will he have the mushroom head like the third one, I guess you call it? The third Putin, but the second clone? Because one of them was a failed clone. I don't know if they, like I said, I don't know if they killed him or what. However, either way, this will change things. I'm hoping it's for the good. I'm hoping they don't get somebody who's more of a hardliner, who's a real person in there, and say we're going to vote him in, and then now it's going to be even worse because they're bombing civilians in their homes, destroying homes. It's bad. And they're trying to kill the population. They're also making their polonium-210 in the nuclear sites. They're also making dirty bombs, whether they've used them or not. They're taking nuclear material and setting up for that. And they've already been given orders to do this. Some of the weapons that they have already exploded look like they actually could have been tactical nukes, like I saw. I saw this explosion the other day. I couldn't believe it. It was so big. So, people, and I'm sorry about that light. That guy's an idiot for shining his lights like that. Let's just do this. So, what will be the end result? and who goes to the Hague. You know, if the Hague will even, because they didn't check them out in the last few wars, who would be tried for all of the war crimes and breaking the Geneva Convention and all the killing, because they're actually targeting hospitals, they're targeting schools, and they're targeting housing apartments and all kinds of housing developments. And how long will it be before, are we going to put a base like we did in Germany? Are we going to put a base in Ukraine? And are we going to help them rebuild? I'm sure Europe will want to. Are we going to be in on that? You know, right now, I think that part of what's been going on, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the old picture of a famous actress that was in Hollywood, and she was sitting on the back of her car, and her bumpers were made of wood, and there was a sign back there painted on them that said, please drive carefully, I donated my bumpers to the war effort. Because back then people were donating the steel off their bumpers for bullets and for missiles, you know, and for skinning airplanes. So the steel mainly was for the bombs. So right now we're in an effort, and that's why private airplane pilots can't get oil that's specially made for their planes. They can't get tires that's made for their planes. They can't. I think that it's all going to the effort that is known is going to happen. This possible Armageddon war that we're being drawn into anyway. So will a change of regime make it less likely to happen or more likely to happen if they put in a completely different leader in Russia? So I don't know who's next in line, and I don't know where to look this up. I just know I was shown that this has happened, and I know that he has been secluding himself. The video where he was supposed to be talking to airline stewardesses as if they just dress like that all the time, it was all staged, but his hand went through the microphone, so they believed that that was, some people were saying hologram, and I was saying, is it a hologram? It's more likely this thing called chroma key. So you can fake stuff on chroma key that looks better than even green screen because there's no outline of the person. So yeah, his hand went to the microphone. He was not in the room at that time that that thing was being filmed, and everybody was talking in the room. So just how secluded has he been? Well, his family has been in a bunker. They've already said that. Well, who knows where he's been? They took his yacht, so he wasn't on his yacht. And he's not allowed to leave the country. If he did leave the country, he would be taken so fast to the Hague and put on a tribunal for war crimes. It wouldn't even be funny. Like, he's done with his tour of Europe and going to meet at this meeting and that meeting. And then the question is, if when they change out the regime and get a different leader in Russia, how long will it take before the U.S. is satisfied of the situation that we actually ease sanctions, and that McDonald's goes back in there, and that all these other places go back in there? That is the question. For me, it's not even a question of is he gone or not, because I've already been shown that he is. I understand they have the ability to put chroma key and fake videos of him for freaking probably ever, and also that they have, well, one clone that failed that may or may not be living, and probably others that don't look really nothing like him but would fit the part. And then there's Alexei Navalny and who knows else would run, maybe even some generals. And will the two generals that were involved, will they get the Hero of Russia award, which is the highest award, or will they be summarily shot or, put on what the equivalent would be to the U.S. The equivalent would be put on military tribunal trial, and then maybe shot or imprisoned for life or sent to the gulag, if they have. I'm sure they still have one. So this is all what was shown to me. I'm putting it out there, and I cannot go and show you anything about it on the news yet because it hasn't happened. Now it's time to go. Well, if they get in a new leadership and if Russia changes, it might be a new destination to go travel to. It might be a good vacation spot. I know that if they ever open up Cuba, since they have changed from Fidel Castro to, I'm pretty sure it's his brother that's in charge now, but if they ever change completely, we could not just open up relations to talk to them or act like we're wanting to be their friend, but we could actually open up trade with them. They need cars. They need cars so bad it's not funny, because all they have is 56 and 57 Chevys and Fords, and they're building, yeah, they make carburetors for them, and they got CNC machines. They stamp out all of the, beat into submission all of the fenders they need out of sheet metal. They make their own parts, but they really need new engines and they need new cars. Cuba would be a whole country just waiting to buy anything from 1980 up to 2022. They'd love to have a new Ford or Chevy. So if we could open up relationship with them, but we'll see what happens. I'm going to get off this thing. I don't want to sit here and ramble. I wanted to put it out here. Looking how life is in Russia now. Yeah, it's I'm sure it's pretty bad with the sanctions and people. It's not just sanctions. They can't get any money out of the banks, and they don't have money for food, and I'm sure they didn't have a stock of food. It's not like they prep a whole lot over there. They didn't have the money for it in the first place. They were already struggling. So there's people that were leaving. Anybody with any kind of money that could leave, they went to Finland. Probably because if they went to Poland, they might be like a little mini war over there between the people from Ukraine that's going there. That's probably a good thing they went to Finland. But this will all work out, and the people will get to learn each other and say, hey, listen, they didn't have nothing to do with this. But their sons are going to war, and they're actually, let's see, life is good from what I see. Well, it's only a matter of time if it continues, depending on what happens, is if it continues before Ukraine starts going on the offensive and actually taking what MiGs they have and this and that and actually bombing Russia itself. That is the truth. They took a lot of restraint and maybe just bad judgment by not taking out those columns with airplanes, but they're still nibbling away at them. So if Russia is still continuing to be not so smart as far as leading their people, like some people believe that general that's in charge right now, it was kind of not so smart. Not only lying to Putin and that he was corrupt and taking money off the top, but at the same time, not a good general. And it's kind of obvious in the way they did things. So right now they're just hitting buildings with people in them, trying to cause terror. I'm hoping they can stop that real quick once they find out what happened. And I'm just told what happened. And somebody's going to have to confirm it. I'll wait for it to come out of the news. I just know that I was told 3 different times because I asked the question and then the connection was severed. This was odd too. It was so that I couldn't ask any more questions because I would have been given the answers and I wasn't supposed to be given. So, whispers of angels. It is what it is. They're not supposed to tell you everything. So, I was told 3 different times that, oh yeah, this happened. So it'll make the news, is what it is. Just like everything else I say, watch the news. People didn't want to believe that, Russia could have anybody that would surrender. I'm sitting there saying, hey, maybe we should teach them some words in English, and oh yeah, and they'll have their hands laced on their heads. How can you bring this stuff to the world? So I'm just throwing it out there and just telling it like it is. I was shown that 2 generals took out Putin, period. I'll leave it up to the world to beat me up about it, or just to come back when they see it happen and see it in the news and say, what are you on? What kind of channel do you pick up on that you're picking up on this stuff? What is your connection? What is it? Yeah. Well, hey, get close to God and pray, and He will reveal all things to you. That's all I can say. And it's a lot. Some of it's kind of scary. Some of it I don't even talk about. So, hopefully it won't be anytime soon that the 2 angels that are bound in the Euphrates River will be released. It gets crazy after that. That's all I'm going to say. You can look at that in the Bible. It gets kind of crazy after that happens. But people, I'm going to get off this thing. God bless you. I'm going to get down the road. I really do have to go. This was an unscheduled stop, and I did not have time for it. But I'm bringing it to you now because it's going to make the news. And I'm supposed to put it out right now at this moment in time. It doesn't affect the eventuality of all eventualities. And I'm supposed to put it out there so that it's known that God does give information. And I got to go and edit that other video because Google was trying to mess with me. So I got to go edit the other video. But the one where I did a live and I was telling basically, hey, the pillar of fire. I told you people, hey, I see a pillar of fire and I see what's going to go and happen. And basically God took the side of Ukraine. It just is what it is. He was there. Well, then there's other people who were saying we were getting attacked by Russia. We didn't know what we were going to do. Didn't think we were going to make it. The guy called his dad, said, I need you to pray right now. And the dad called the church. Everybody's praying for him. The next morning at sunlight, they wake up to find all of the Russian army that were attacking them were dead. But this was only after, during the night, during the fight, in the heated part of it, they saw a pillar of fire. And they thought it was some kind of a new American weapon or something, but it was a pillar of fire. And it was attacking their enemy. So they saw like bolts of light come out of it and stuff, and it was a pillar of fire. This is God. God shows himself as a pillar of fire and as a cloud, just like he did when he led Israel out of bondage, out of Egypt, and had them shepherded by Moses. So that's in the Bible too. And I had not heard of or seen anything, except preachers every once in a while might talk about it, but I ain't even heard that. I had not heard anything about a pillar of fire until I was shown to look over at the sun and to see that pillar of fire. And I knew it was something. I knew it was going to make the news. It always does. It made the news. So I'll put that video back up once I edit it, and I'll put the links to those. But you could look up on YouTube. Look up Pillar of Fire Ukraine. It should show up. The videos where the guys are saying, hey, listen, you're not going to believe this, but we were in a firefight and we saw a pillar of fire and it just started throwing things out of it and attacking our enemy, the other side, not us, but the enemy. And then we woke up in the morning to find all of the enemy dead. So God's making moves. And it was by the pillar of fire that Putin was taken out. Period. That's that. I'm going to drop it just like that, people. Watch the news. God bless you, people. I'm out.